Hey everyone, welcome aboard. We are now live. Make sure that everything's alright. We are from the couch again today, and my voice might be a little bit off. Been singing a lot of songs at the karaoke yesterday, and so my vocal cords are a little tired, but I had a lot of fun. So hey everybody. Nice to see all of you here. So basically, hello everyone, welcome aboard. This is the live tech show. We are at episode number 92, and this is of course the show where we have some tech news, talk about or answer some questions, and just have a whole lot of fun with a great chat room with some fantastic people. So why not join the fun and join us? And today I'm from the couch again because I thought, well, I felt like, just being from the couch. But next week we'll probably be back on with the big screen TV with the news and everything. So hey everyone, welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. Tim Robinson, Douglas Elliott, Albert Zappa, Jeep Neon, Jason Kirk, Brian Wilson, Albert Zappa. We have the Vaults, Sean Robinson, and Miss Lady Catherine, Bobby Burgess. We have Josh Kinder, and if I missed anyone, please say hello. Hello. And nice to have all of you here live. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and of course we are here to talk about technology. So what's in the news this week in the technology stuff? I've chosen a certain number of news items that I thought would be interesting to talk about. Hello there, Alex Tuttle. Well, first of all, the first news item I want to talk about is interesting. It's a company that actually looked at some websites and started looking at malware within websites, and a very interesting thing came up is that a lot of websites have malicious ads without the knowledge of the people that own the website. And one of the biggest malware ads website, Pornhub, which it's known. Porn sites, a lot of gaming sites are really torrent sites, of course, are some of the worst in what could be malware or problems. Now basically the form of malware that these websites have, and most of them is without the user's knowledge, is basically a type of malware that is kind of an updater. So the fake let's update your Flash player because it's not updated, or you're using an outdated Chrome version, and click here to update your outdated Chrome and everything. And so the website says there's tons and tons of these that are actually affecting millions of users around the world that are in contact with all of these bad ads. So it's really crazy, and it's amazing how all of these websites are just terrible. So it's something that we know. I mean, with all the time that I've been going through websites, and we go to all sorts of websites, and of course. There's if you go on a lot of different styles of websites, it's something you see all the time, and this is something that's I think been since the beginning of the internet. I mean, when the first websites came up, somebody thought, hey, we could screw the people out there by doing something bad, and of course a lot of it happened. So basically it's just an interesting aspect of the internet, and I think shows us that you just got to be extremely careful when you go to websites. It's just amazing, and don't get fooled by what is probably the oldest trick in the world, trying to lure you and get you into an update that in reality is not an update. And remember, if you want to update or you're not sure, go to your browser's web page. If you use Firefox, go to the Mozilla page. If you use Chrome, go to Google Chrome web page. Go there and check out what version they have. Never click a link or a pop-up that says, "Oh, well, your browser's outdated. I think you got some problems." It's one of the worst things you can really get here. So, yeah, well, it makes me understand one thing, Waltz, is that there's a reason why people are installing ad blocks in the first place. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, so of course it does eliminate some of these bad things. But also, we gotta say it. There are some really annoying ads. When I get, a full screen pop-up that prevents you from seeing the content, I always consider that to be pretty bad advertisement, and that people get tired, and I kind of understand that. But there's a lot of people using ad blockers, and if you actually use an ad block, don't forget that if you like the content of some of the pages that you go through, like this, for example, whitelist your favorite web pages to make sure that at least on the favorite content, the content that you like, you at least let some ad revenues go through. Because a lot of 90% of the money that I make in a month to live is actually YouTube. For me, it's 80-90% of my 80% of my revenue. 80% is YouTube ads. About 10% maybe will be the donations, and the other 10% will be other revenue streams that I've got, with other things that I do. But it's my major income. So I think we gotta, as I do understand why people use ad blockers. I think it's also something to think about. That these ads give you a lot of free content, and you always have to remember the guys and the girls behind all of that work hard to bring you shows like this. But you gotta be careful. So, hey, David Walker, nice to have you here. Reese Hodum, nice to have you here. What else did I see? I think I saw somebody else. I don't want to say Farney Jr. Hello there, nice to have you on board, of course. And let's talk about it a little bit. David Walker saying that 16299.15, which is the Fall Creators Update that we have as insiders, is now in release preview. So that means that basically everything that everything is telling us that we are at RTM, and the other sign that we are at RTM and that we have the Fall Careers Update. And a lot of people have been. There's been actually I don't know if you guys notice. Hey, Christine Bowman, nice to have you here. Stephen Rego, hey. Cycler39. It's there was that spammer last week. I don't know if you guys noticed on the insider page. There's a spammer with like 20 different usernames that was trolling the comments, and and saying that no, that's not the RTM and whatever. And I don't really care what he thinks. Anyways, it's just an idiot. But now we have even more confirmation with Donna Sakar saying, hey, you know what? You've got, we're going to get a Redstone 4 build this week. So maybe, maybe even today, after the show will be over, who knows? So we're going to get our first Redstone 4. I'm kind of excited with that, and also, once again, it's really time for everybody to, that wants to, just stay put at the Fall Careers Update, to stay there for now. because I mean, as soon as you start having builds again, well, we're in the fast ring and we're going ahead now. So I think it's going to be excited. I kind of want to really want that first Redstone 4 build, see what is in there. I don't expect a lot of things new, but kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And it's funny because I'm trying to remember. I think when we had Creators Update, we did have our Redstone 3 builds really fast, but I think did they give us a, I'm trying to remember, did they give us a build before the official release to everyone of the Creators Update? I'm trying to remember. I remember it was really fast, but I don't remember if it was just a little bit after or before. That's what I'm wondering. So anyways, really, hey Bobby Burgess. So anyways, it's kind of interesting to see that we'll have a build already, and it's really interesting. Well, if you're in the Insider machine and you left your machine in Fast Ring, you don't have to opt in again. It's just going to come on your Insider machine. And so before, yeah, David, that's what I was thinking. I think we did have a little bit before also. Anyways, it's kind of cool to see that we're moving ahead, and basically we're moving forward to that. What I find is going to be very interesting is to see how well the Fall Creators Update will roll out next week when it starts rolling out. I mean, who will get it first, and then once it's released, how well it's going to go. Will people have problems? I mean, that would be kind of devastating at Microsoft if there was some issues. Creators Update rolled out really well. In fact, rolled out fantastically well, which is pretty good when you consider all the possibilities of problems that might actually happen at some point. And I think it's just cool. So we're moving ahead slowly in our different little things, and I think it's state of technology. Patch Tuesday today, guys and girls, well, and aliens, and we have security updates, a lot of security updates for Windows 7, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10. Windows 10 added bonus of some bug fixes mixed in with the security updates in the cumulative updates. Brings your Windows 10 build to 15063.674 if you're on Creators Update, and 14393.1770 if you're on the Anniversary Update. And today's the last update for those that are on the November update. So if you remember, when Windows 10 was released in 2015, we, of course, July 29th, we had an update that year. An update that was a November update of that year. And basically, that was 15.11. And that version of Windows 10 will not get any more security patches in the future. So if you're on 15.11, that November update of 2015, you got to move ahead. You got to get some other version that is more recent, be it Anniversary Update or Creators Update. But you got to move ahead because you're not getting security patches after today. This was your last patch for today. So basically, it's really a lot of security stuff. I'll be making a video and checking out what are the security bulletins today. I did not the log was not online yet when I updated my machine, but it was a really quick install. It basically it took a long time to download, but the install itself was really quick. It doesn't seem to take a long time to install. On my part, it went well. of course, you know, there's always that, when every patch Tuesday, there's always that little moment that you're like, okay, how many people are gonna complain that there's some problems with this update? You know, last month it was kind of a few issues that they had to update, you know, send another update to fix some of the problems. That's not the way we want things to happen, that's for sure. So anyways, let's hope that this month's patches roll out better. And of course, stay safe by updating with the security patches. And I'll be posting a video after we end this show where we're going to talk about the what's in there, you know, for Windows 10, what are the fixes, and also what are the patches, what are the security flaws this month, you know, how many are critical or you know, or important, and so on. So we'll be checking that out. If you want to know what's inside that package, we'll talk about it in a video today. So patch your machines to stay safe, everybody, and don't listen to people that say, well, don't patch your machine because Microsoft brings a lot of, you know, viruses in your computer. That's just nonsense. And Alex Stowe says update on that with the YouTube stream mess up, unlike stream with the video. It only happens on live stream but not on playback of videos. So I do not know if it is YouTube or not. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. I do get, you know, I mean, here everything is green. And technically, one of the things that maybe is happening is that live streams are a little different. One of the things you got to notice is that the quality of the video also. When I live stream, I think the amount of data that is received at your end on a live show is higher than when you actually look at the video. A lot of my videos, because they're done on a computer that the resolutions by you know, 13 something by 768 are 720p instead of 1080p, while this stream is 1080p, which means there's more data going with this stream. So basically, it's supposed to, you know, basically really technically still go well anyways, but we'll see. We'll see. So it's as Walt says, live streams optimized for low latency, so technically should still, you know, have very little buffering in it, for sure. And so hey, Tim Brennan, so he's got the media player back by reinstalling Windows. It is very, very weird, very, very weird that you lost it. I can tell you that. And there's you know, there's so many things that can happen, you know, from my endpoint to wherever you are, and the internet service provider that you're using, and there's so many things, that's for sure. So basically, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And you know, the internet service providers, you know, they're not all equal, and some of them are just crappy with the way they handle, you know, data. A lot of them, you know, intentionally degrade live streams or degrade video playing back because they don't want you to, you know, watch too much stuff on the internet. They want you to watch cable, and that's the major issue, by the way, of any internet service provider that is / a cable company. They make more money out of you watching stuff on cable than they are on you watching stuff through the internet. So basically, you know, apart from getting the cash that you pay for that internet feed for this live show that you're watching, they're not getting anything else out of it. Where, you know, TV shows and cable companies will get, you know, money off of the different channels. The different companies that own the channels will pay to use that, and you know, sometimes it's just crazy. They really want to, you know, degrade that internet to a point where it's not fun, and it happens a lot in the United States on many ISPs, and you know, a lot of them got caught, you know, and like Comcast, Verizon, there's some of the worst in there, you know, and you know, with net neutrality rules being kind of baffled, I think it's going to be a problem. Hey, Mohamed Havdik, nice to have you on board, as usual. So, Patch Tuesday, patch your machines, everyone. It's very important to do so. What else do we have? Hey, what about the rules with self-driving cars? Okay? So, what do you guys think? Of course, self-driving cars will be changing the way that driving goes and the regulations around driving. Some of the interesting questions that came up were really interesting, I gotta tell you. So basically, what's happening is that there's questions like, if a self-driving car crashes into another car, whose fault is it? The driver or the manufacturer of the car? So there's some interesting legal questions here that arise from that. But there's another one. Drunk while driving, of course, is something that you should not do. But what about if your car is self-driving? If you're drunk, what does it change? You know, I mean, you're not controlling the car. The car is going home by itself. So, I don't know. It's kind of a complex issue here. Talking about the manufacturer fault or anything. One of the things for sure is that, of course, part of the accidents will be due to somebody else's fault. You know, I mean, when your car crashes, it will happen that it's because an idiot. And actually, statistics show it. When Google had their self-driving cars in California, the statistics show that 99%, like it's almost 100% of the time, that the fault was at the other driver. It wasn't the self-driving car. The self-driving car behaved correctly. The self-driving car did everything right. And you know, the self-driving car is always checking everything. So of course, I can tell you, it's it's more accurate than a human being. That's for sure. But you know, I think if you have no option to interfere with the driving of the car, well, you know, what if you go to a party and you're drunk? It's okay. I think it would be okay for that to happen. I mean, you know, it's just crazy. That is a very excellent question, Brian Wilson. Can self-driving cars dodge potholes? From what I think, they must, because they are looking at everything. They are looking at the pavement. They are looking at every point of reference possibly. So basically, I would guess it must, because it has to be something you think about. You know, here in Quebec, the roads are just so bad that you got to think that hopefully the first self-driving cars that will appear on the roads here will have that possibility of avoiding potholes for sure. Hey, Jacqueline Black, nice to have you on board, and happy birthday. Nice to have you here. And even though this is not alcohol, cheers with my flavored water. So, nice to have all of you here. And yeah, that of course, you know, like Vault says, it depends on the level of autonomy. You know, I mean, a full autonomy, a car that you have zero interference with the human being, I think also is, you know, something that, well, if you're drunk, it's okay. But of course, any self-driving car that has a possibility for you to, of course, stop the automatic system and drive yourself, well, there is maybe not a very interesting thing here for sure. So anyways, and there's a lot of things going on with that for sure. What else do we have? So Mohammed Havdik, well, you know, for the it's quite all right that you've gone to remove yourself from the insider program. I mean, we are on the Fall Careers Update now, and I think it's pretty cool. And you know, the first Redstone 4 builds are going to be buggy, so unless you want to have some some problems, it's okay that you've removed yourself. And you know, I suspect that next week, I wouldn't be surprised next week when the rollout happens that we might at the same time get a cumulative update to just fix a few more things. But you know, I think it's okay, and it's pretty cool. One of the things that, you know what, Tim's saying, what about, you know, when traffic lights fail and everything? One of the things that's still a problem with self-driving cars right now is if you have a, you know, say a stop sign and somebody has modified it or put a sticker over it, apparently it's still a huge issue. The cars don't understand exactly what that is. You know, us as a human, when you see the stop sign, even if there's something over it, by, you know, the colors it has, by the what it looks like, the shape it has, we still make the link. Well, that's a stop sign. But the self-driving cars have a lot of problems with that because they kind of not recognize the sign itself. They're like, well, it's a different thing, and they don't understand it. So they've apparently, on some modified stop signs, where people have vandalized the stop signs or put stickers over it, self-driving car did not understand it was a stop. So I think there's still a few things and a few glitches to work out, but I'm sure it's going to get better. Hey Patrick, Manny, nice to have you here, and it's always cool to have everybody here. Like says, right now I'm looking at my speeds in the router, a wireless LAN bandwidth monitor. 1.7 download, 0.10 upload out of max speed of 236 down, 24 up. That is kind of a slow speed though for the download of the YouTube stuff. And yeah, absolutely. So and the weather, well, from the tests that I've seen with self-driving cars, with I've seen a lot of videos of the Google self-driving cars. Apparently, if it's raining, it's not too bad. You know where it might be tricky? I think that would be probably the trickiest thing. As like here in Canada, having or you know, in colder northern states of the U.S. where we have snow. How a self-driving car will react with, you know, a strong, you know, snow shower or even, you know, a snowstorm of some sort. How does it react and how will it work? Because it has to adapt also about something else. We know that we have to adapt our driving depending on the weather. The self-driving car will need to understand that, you know, it's slippery when there's snow or ice and everything. You got to remember that, for sure. Hey, Robert Redmond, nice to have you on board, and always cool to have everybody here. So, BMW, yeah, they're okay cars. They're expensive. I always thought of personally buying more local cars. You know, like I've always thought of, if I buy a car, would be probably to buy something that I know is made at least partly in Canada. More localized buying, I would say. But, you know. And snow is going to be... snow is going to be probably the #1 problem with self-driving cars. You know, rain will be. Very strong rain, you know, or a thunderstorm might maybe already interfere with the self-driving cars, but snow is certainly going to be a big issue, and maybe we're gonna have a lot. You know, maybe it's gonna take more time for winter driving of self-driving cars, I would say. So it's very, very weird. Alex says, update, I look into, like, it only happens when I put the video on my second screen, not my main one. I'm thinking it's my second is not... Yeah, maybe it's putting a strain on the machine. Maybe that second screen is actually making your GPU work harder, and it's kind of having more problems. I don't know. Weird. So BMWs are great till you hit a deer. So, anyways, it's gonna be something for sure, and there's going to be, you know, laws that are going to be modified for sure. Hey, any of you using AOL Instant Messenger or used it in the past? I know it was very popular because as a tech guy, AOL, first of all, AOL, you guys remember all these discs in the mail? I remember AOL sending diskettes, 3.5-inch discs, and then they send CDs through the mail that were giving us to get internet access. But a lot of people are very we're using AOL Messenger, and while AOL Messenger is retiring on December 15, the service is going to stop working. So it really is, you know, I call AOL Messenger a little bit kind of a historic piece of the internet. I mean, AOL would, you know, it was part of our lives at some point. And anyway, even if you've never used it, their service, you still would have, you know. I remember my clients. But my clients would that would ask me, what can I do with the you know, what will be with the what do I do with the discs that I receive? I don't know what to do with that. What is it? Well, it's an internet service, and I was always joking with my clients and saying, well, use it as a high-tech coaster, so you can put your coffee mug on it or your drinks. It's going to be a high-tech coaster. And but a lot of people, I mean, even in my family, my brother, I remember my brother being on AOL with the free trial and everything. So all of that is kind of a really, really, you know, it's kind of a piece of the history of the internet, I think. And so if you're still using that, well, you gotta move on to something else because it's shutting down. It's been 20 years, and it's shutting down after 20 years. So I guess it started in 1997. Brings us way back, hey, 1997. Wow. So what else do we have here? AOL, you're always offline. I remember the first time my brother was on AOL, and you know, it was that software that you were installing that would make the connection to AOL. When you didn't have a lot of RAM memory or a lot of power on your PC back then, the calls would always be dropped by dial-up modem, because it's like the computer was like too busy doing too many things, and it would just like lose connection, and the dial-up modem would just disconnect. Just crazy. And I remember finding that, you know, it's kind of awkward that you had to use that piece of software to connect to a service instead of like more of a direct connection like many ISPs. But hey, it's a piece of history, I think. Oh yeah, you've got mail. Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of modern though. It was like, you know, oh wow, this is cool. What do I think of electric cars? I think that we're getting there. We're still a little far away from the really efficient and you know, there needs to be a huge technology advancement on batteries, but we're getting there. And I mean, there's a guy here that lives on the street. He's got an electric car. It's just amazing when you know, it doesn't make any noise. It's just so crazy. You see the car pass by and don't even hear a thing. But they're getting there, and I think it's important that we go there, because I mean, we can't for the sake of our planet continue using, you know, the worst part is, even, you know, for the sake of our planet, we can't continue using gas, and the worst part of that is even if we stop today and we all have, electric cars, gas is still going to be used for tons of other things, and we're going to like just, use it up anyways. But some are certain nice. I like the there was a Tesla demonstration at a fair that happened maybe it was in July, I think, and you had the occasion of not only looking at a Tesla, but if you take a ticket and everything, you had the opportunity to drive it a little bit, and I gotta say it was a beautiful car, and really looks nice. Autonomy is getting better. We're getting more and more kilometers out of each charge. That's also interesting. Here they've put a electric plug just at the corner in the street where I live here. About 3 weeks ago, they put a charging station for electric cars. So it shows that slowly that technology is catching up, and I think it's going to be interesting. Mohammed says, so now Windows 10 Fall Creators Update stays at 0.15. Well, that .15 will change, because I mean there's a lot of things that are going to make it have it changed. One is cumulative updates we'll have every month will change that number, so we'll be at 16299 dot something. Would not be surprised that there will be a cumulative update at the same time that they release the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update next week, because if I remember, Creators Update I think was released at the same time as a cumulative update that fixed some of the remaining bugs that they had. So that means that it will be 16299, but that .15 will go up from time to time, for sure. So it's yeah, Win modems, absolutely, Win modems. Those were horrible. I always bought my modems. I always wanted to have the autonomous modems that have everything, that do everything by themselves. But boy, when Win modems arrived, hey, so did the connectivity issues. That was bad. It's like manufacturers wanted to save money by letting Windows do a lot of what the modem was doing itself in hardware. And I remember buying every time I would go to the store, and some people would ask me questions back then. Why is there a, look at that modem. It has the same, US Robotics 56K. This one is $49. This one is 119. And they would say, why the difference? And it was like, well, the 119 is autonomous. It has all the parts and does everything itself. So it relieves the computer of some of the work that the other one's going to do, the Win modem. And Win modems were dreadful, especially the cheap Win modems. It would be crazy. The drop calls would be just amazing. I can tell you that. Oh man. Yeah, absolutely, Vaults. There are some new changes. There are some design changes and some technology changes, but in effect, battery technology is pretty stagnant in the past 10 years. Lithium-ion is what packs the most punch, and it's difficult. There's a lot of other technologies, but we don't really see any of those in a practical situation. Having the new technologies in battery, also you got to remember that from the time you get the batteries that have this new technology to mass production, it's a big difference. So I will never run out of gas without it coming from politicians' rear ends. Yeah, pretty much, Patrick, pretty much. I like the Patrick man. He says White House got adult daycare center. Oh God. So But you know, there's a lot of stuff that could be done on batteries. I've seen many articles and read many articles of different technologies, different ways of doing things. You guys remember there was like 10 years ago, there was this promise of, you know, like instant charging batteries. They were like using something like called like super capacitors, or what was it? I'm trying to remember. And that, if would have been applied in a battery, would have been that, you know, you charge your battery in like, you know, 10 seconds instead of waiting 4 hours or 6 hours. I remember that, and you know, it's gone. You don't hear about that anymore, really. There's a lot of different things, you know. Like Walt says, there isn't a month with some kind of news on batteries, but you know, in effect, nothing. Man. Why are you not with the TV? Well, I didn't feel like it today. I felt like I wanted to be on the couch. But next week we'll be back with the TV news and stuff. Right now the TV is the chat room. So, you know. Have you ever heard a game Call of Duty? Absolutely. I played Call of Duty a lot on PCs in the past. A lot. So, really, really interesting. So, yeah. You know, one of the things I believe in, you know, I know that people are very, very, when we talk about nuclear energy, we always have I could see the faces of everybody saying, well, I don't want to have a nuclear power plant where I live. And you know, we always have these images of, you know, 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl or you know, Fukushima, and people say, well, you know, that thing is dangerous. There's also the biggest problem, I think, is the waste. What do you do with the damn waste? I mean, you know, we can't just take, you know, used up uranium or plutonium and put it in a hole all the time. We need to find some way to actually treat it so that it becomes harmless somehow. We need a way to maybe have more efficient nuclear power plants that mean you can use those fuel rods much longer, and that is really really. But you know, I personally think that we still need to, you know, nuclear power is something that we need to harvest and we need to harness correctly, because there's, you know, something very, very nice about all the promise of energy from nuclear stuff. You know, I mean, imagine if we'd be able to, you know, make these power cells that were nuclear power cells that would be small enough to be in our devices that would just work, you know, forever. Just crazy. So, you know, but I think I'm one of those that think that the future for the human race in power will be nuclear. We have to go there. We have to go there, but we have to make it differently than we do now, and we have to do it better than we do now. What uses all your computer's free space? So you mean when your hard drive is slowly filling up with all sorts of things? Well, you know, there's a lot of things that will use some space on your hard drive. First of all, Windows itself, as you use it over months and years, will slowly bloat, will slowly get bigger and bigger in space that it's using on your hard drive, because of the way it works, and the you know, the registry gets bigger, everything, and files are written everywhere, and every update there's different things that is actually going to be written. There's new files here, new files there. There's a lot of that's one of the bad things of Windows and of programs that install in Windows. All the wasted space of all the things left behind, even when you remove the software from your computer. There's of course the software you use yourself. There's the things you download. Your browser will, have its history and its temporary files and everything that is there. So slowly it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You can, you somewhat use things like the disk cleanup utility in Windows to remove the temporary files and stuff like that. But there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of wasted space by, files that are not needed anymore. When you update a software, not all the files are updated. Sometimes some of the old files are left behind. And they're still there on the hard drive taking space. So, there's, I don't like using those, but there's some things like, there's really, there's some software that give the promise of, checking the install and doing cleaner uninstalls. I don't like to use things like that. No, I use almost no utilities. I find more of a waste of time and problem with utilities most of the time. Farney Jr., nice to have you here. Yeah, one day, self-flying cars. That's self-driving flying cars or self-flying cars or something. So, anyways, Okay, what else is there in the news? Of course, we have. Let's go to that that news item that people are talking about, which is Windows Phone is dead. Hey, Windows Phone is gone forever. Well, so Terry Myerson Joe Belfiore, which is head of the Windows Mobile team, had a Q&A on Twitter where users were asking questions and saying, "Hey, what is there going to be an update to the new features added to the Windows 10 Mobile, and will there be no new devices and everything?" And he pretty much said, "Nope. Don't expect new features and don't expect new devices," which equals to there will be no more Windows phones because it's pretty much dead. So that's pretty much where we are at. Windows 10 is dead on mobile. And is it good or bad? I don't know. The thing is, basically, is sorry, I got distracted by the chat here. So basically, everybody that owned a Windows Phone found that it was an amazing device. It was really cool. Now that said, there were no apps. The App Store was bad. And you know what? With the kind of the new insight that we have from Satya Nadella, that actually didn't want to have phones and didn't think it was something that they should do. I think he put all the efforts necessary to just kill it and didn't care. So at some point, it's unfortunately, because I think what we don't need in this world is a world that has only two platforms, iOS and Android. Why not have something else? I think there's place for that. I think Microsoft could have really done it if they worked hard to promote it, because they did move up to 3-4% market share, which is huge if you consider that, it looks small, of course, but it's huge when you consider that was millions of phones. And today we saw they were showing off a picture of what was a bezel-less Windows Phone that looks gorgeous. I think it would have been nice. But anyways, we're moving ahead to something else. Mohamed Habdik says, who disliked the video? You know, I got haters anyways that always dislike my live shows and my videos. It's just so funny because it's like, you know, they're wasting their time and they're just idiots. But there's no way to know who dislikes a video, but there's a way to know where it comes from. So in my stats, if I go to my YouTube statistics and look at likes and dislikes, I will have, if I look at the world map, where the likes and the dislikes come from. So if I look at dislike and look at the map, well, it's going to tell me, oh, the dislike comes from that country. So, you know, it's not going to pinpoint where, but it's going to say, well, it comes from, you know, the US or some European country or something. An example of that is on the radio channel. I've got a Finnish hater that always dislikes, and every time I look at the dislike, it's like, or the thumbs down, 80% of the thumbs down come from Finland. So it's like, yeah, okay, you kind of know probably who does it by, you know, extrapolation, because you know you've got an hater there, somebody that really, really hates you, and you've got a dislike, you know, dislikes everywhere that the thumbs down come from Finland. So you're like, huh, okay, probably, you know, that guy. But there's no really, you know, there's no really anything you can do. Well, it says, speaking as a developer, I am quite happy that you don't need to do a third version of the same. Oh, absolutely. That I understand for that reason. For that reason, yeah, I do understand that. It does get you know, time consuming to create apps in different platforms. And I of course I do understand that, you know, if you have only one platform, only do one version of your app and that's it. You don't have to you know, to do 2 or 3 or 4, or depending on how many platform it is. So another one says Windows 10 Mobile is dead, but Windows 10 on mobile is not dead. Well, Windows 10, the Windows 10 we have will be mobile at some point. There will be, I was looking at was it yesterday? They were showing a Windows 10 running on a Galaxy S8 phone through that, you know, that Windows 10 on ARM thing. They were showing a demonstration. Somebody put Windows 10 on ARM on his Galaxy S8 phone and seemed to work really well. So, you know, Windows 10 might get on mobile somehow, especially with the Windows Core. When we get to that, you know, moment where there's the Windows gets really modular, where you can remove everything that you don't need and just, you know, focus on, I need the core in that module for a mobile device, for example, for sure. Friendly Wanderer, nice to have you here. But you know, it's interesting. So it's just something we got to think about and see in the future. Is, you know, Windows Phone dead for good, meaning that is Microsoft forever going to say we're not going into mobile again? I don't know. Hey, another news, surprise, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition has been hacked. And actually it's really easy. And it's not just easy, it's actually really cool, because you can now not only add your favorite games by downloading the image from the internet and playing it on, but also you can add features. So it's kind of a very, very interesting thing. And of course there's a lot of information posted online to talk about the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So you know, people that get one, I think will you know, if I had one, the first thing I would do is hack it so that I can, you know, play whatever game I want, for sure. So and you know, it's easier apparently than the original classic Mini that was released last year. And I don't know. You know, it's so easy that in one article, as Tim was saying, surely they expected to be hacked. It's so easy that one article I read about that was saying it's almost as if Nintendo made it so that it was really easy to do. So I don't know exactly. You know, one of the things that for sure is, one of the thing is the fact that licensing made them choose a certain number of games for that device, but the fact that you hack it now really brings the whole world of Nintendo basically. And it's funny at the same time when you look at the fact that they don't want you to, you know, they're going crazy. Nintendo's going totally crazy right now with everybody that streams online gaming of some Nintendo games or posts videos. I've had that also happen on when I did the retro gaming with Gabriel, and we played some Super Nintendo games on emulation. Well, that video was blocked. That video was flagged by Nintendo saying, well, you can't get monetization off of this because it's copyrighted content. Which surprised me. I was like, man, this is, you know, Super Nintendo, it's old stuff. And still, I remember I got the complaint saying, hey, you can't monetize this. Nintendo, you've got flagged. I was like, what? Really? It's just crazy. Crazy. So, really, you know. Yep. Then the retro gaming for Nintendo that I did was my videos flagged. So some markets can't see it, and if you can see it, well, the ads there are not actually paying me; they're paying Nintendo. Which, you know, it's when something like that happens. Like, you know, I kept the video there because for the purpose of the people that wanted to see it, but when I get a flag like that that says, well, monetization is going to that company, the only thing I feel like doing is removing the video, because if I can't get paid for the content that I did, which is a live show that lasted like, you know, 2-3 hours, well, Nintendo will not get a penny out of it. So often in that type of situation, I often remove the video and just say, the hell with it. If I can get paid, I will not accept that Nintendo gets cash from that, for sure. Yeah, Sega also, absolutely. I have one video which is it's a game, a Sega game that I've played, and that was, you know, that was flagged also, absolutely. You know, it's stupid, because what I find idiot in that way of working is that you're kind of promoting these games, and you're kind of promoting these, you know, the Nintendo platform, for example. I find it really sad that they do that, because I think any game that you actually demonstrate or do some live gaming, I'm sure it gives the idea of a lot of people watching the video, oh, I want to play that game, looks really cool, I'm going to buy it. Which is, I don't understand the logic behind the way they do things like that. Really crazy. And your computer could be used to mine cryptocurrency online. And a new study, actually, saying that there's more and more websites that have a little routine that uses your CPU when you go to that web page. And actually there's a growing list of websites. So we knew that, you know, Pirate Bay did it. And the way that people noticed is because when they went on the Pirate Bay page, you'd see their CPU run at 100% all the time. But Pirate Bay was open about it, saying, yeah, we now do use your PC for Bitcoin mining, and instead of having ads. So if you're open about it, okay, it's not necessarily the best thing. It's still your PC, and basically, it's just crazy. It is still my PC, so maybe they should have at least hi, you're on this page. Can we use your PC to do Bitcoin mining? At least ask. But apparently there's more and more pages that are appearing on the internet that actually are being flagged like that, because what's happening is they do it, but a lot of the websites, they don't even know. It's somebody hacked into the page and just inserted whatever script they needed to add to have Bitcoin mining going on your PC. And of course, the interesting part of that is that if you have millions of visitors, it's like having millions of PCs mining Bitcoin, which is something that you'd like to do, but nobody has the cash for 1 million PCs. Where if you use the people's PCs when you visit the page, you suddenly have very, very high computing power to make it go faster and make cash, basically. It's just crazy. Just crazy. I don't know about that. Vault says full video walkthroughs of some games I think will negatively affect sales. I don't know. I think if the game is good, well, I think if the game is good, it will be, would be interesting. Raymond Koenig says, Windows 10 on ARM, I hope the update process will not become like on Android due to Qualcomm chips being different with drivers and firmware. Well, it's specific to it's very specific. Windows 10 on ARM will run on very specific hardware, so it's not going to run on everything. It really, really needs a specific set of hardware for it to work. So it will be only on specific devices, but once you have that device, Windows 10 on ARM will just run, as long as you've got that set of chipsets and firmware and the Qualcomm chips that are powerful enough, like the 835, the Snapdragon 835 is the one used right now for Windows 10 on ARM. So I don't know. Yeah, okay, that I can see for sure, Vaults. If you play an adventure game, for example, and you've looked at a video that is a complete walkthrough of the game, you might be tempted to just look at the walkthrough to see the adventure itself. Yeah, that I could see that, but I don't think on games that are action games or sports games. I don't think that affects anything. So you're watching the live tech show, and I'm live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Interesting study by the company. What's the name of the company? I'm trying to find the name of that. FutureMark. So FutureMark, for those that know a little bit, if you ever benchmark your PC, FutureMark is one of the companies behind the software that can benchmark and give you the performance of your PC. But now, very interesting, because I hear that all the time. And people tell me, well, every time there's a new iOS version for an iPhone, slows down the previous iPhone so that it's going to push you into buying a new phone eventually. So FutureMark benchmarked an iPhone 5S, and they benchmarked it with iOS 9, iOS 10, and iOS 11. And they actually came out with the same numbers, saying performance is equal for the 3 versions of iOS. Sorry, performance wise, in all the tests, the GPU and everything, hasn't changed the power of the phone itself, hasn't slowed it down, hasn't really changed anything, which means that when people think iOS or Apple pushes an update, so it, makes older phones slower, so people buy one, is not officially not true. So it's kind of interesting. I found that to be a very interesting study. I look at my iPhone 5 that I have here still. What is interesting is I do find it sluggish, but I think it's maybe not the iOS version that makes it sluggish. Maybe it's the fact that it's just an old phone, and when you compare it to today's phone, which are more powerful, it does seem slow, but it's because it was like that at the start, maybe. Well, it says, but what they actually benchmark, if they benchmark their own app, maybe. But the question is probably about the iOS shell, graphic user interface, integrated apps. From what I've seen and the way that they tested it in a manner that it everywhere on the performance, even on the graphical user interface and the different apps. From what I understand, the way they did the test tends to say that no, the performance of everything stays the same. But like I said, if you compare your iPhone 5 to a more recent version, every time I had bought a new iPhone, it was obvious that the new iPhone was much faster than the one I had before. And that, I think, maybe is more of the reason why people think that. It's like an Android phone. I've got a certain speed on this Galaxy S7. I'm sure if I buy the Galaxy S9 next year, that I'll find that it's much faster than this one. But I can't really say that, I've moved from Marshmallow version 6 to Nougat version 7. I don't see a performance difference, at least for Android, on my device. So I think the thing is, and we got to remember that I think that what happens is we add a lot of apps, and we install tons of things on our phones, and that kind of gives it a slower performance with time also, basically. What else do we have that I've left here? Alphabet, the famous Project Loon, which are the famous Google balloons, basically, that they put up in the air to give telecommunications. They're being deployed on Puerto Rico, where there's a lot of damage because of the hurricane and the technology, and a lot of what's happening with the the destruction of the infrastructure was communications. So now they got approved by the FCC, so they're starting to put these balloons in the air for cell communications and internet, which is kind of interesting, actually. And that's the beautiful side of technology, I think. There's Elon Musk also that is proposing that they put solar panel up in Puerto Rico to get the grid back up and working. I think that's the future. Less and less government involvement, more and more big companies wanting to do things like that, which is kind of nice. Of course, there's always a dark side to all of this. Companies want to do their thing there for a specific reason, not just because they want to be, they want to be the good companies that are fair and nice and beautiful, but there's also, the way that things happen, and the way that it probably also helps them probably in a way push their own brand, for sure. I don't think anybody does anything for free really on the planet. It's just, but still, it's kind of interesting. It's really it's still nice, and and of course they have a lot of things, like there's a lot of tax breaks You know, I tend to agree with a lot of people about things. You know, they were looking at just look at Amazon. Amazon with its headquarters that they want to put in a somewhere in North America. I am amazed at the amount of cities that have actually told them, "Hey, we're going to give you this land. We're gonna, you know, give you 10-year tax break." And you're like, really, really? To get a company come in your little part of the world, you're going to give a tax break to a company that makes billions of dollars. You know, like Apple. Apple paid, this week I saw an article go really, really fast, saying that Apple paid $13 million in taxes in, I think it was in California. And one analyst was kind of saying, well, if you make billions of dollars and you pay 13 million in taxes only, it's kind of laughable if you want. So, you know, I tend to agree that these companies should pay much more taxes than they are right now. They really should. You know, if you make if you make $100 billion profit, I'm sorry, but you should pay billions of dollars in taxes, not, you know, 10 million or 5 million because everybody wants you here and just giving you a tax break, basically. I can tell you that. Well, technically, Mohammed, if Windows 10, if Windows 10 on ARM works on a device, it's going to get the same updates that regular versions of Windows 10 because it's the same version of Windows 10 that you have. But you know, it's just crazy. Another one says Windows 10 will be only one version, so all updates will be the same. Yeah, pretty much. At some point. And that's the idea, but we're not there yet. We're really not there yet. One last bit of news. Microsoft Edge coming to Android and iOS. Kind of interesting. Now, that said, I don't suspect a lot of people downloading Microsoft Edge for Android, or, you know, I will. Once it's available for Android, I will. I haven't checked, but I want to check if my iPhone 5 can download it somehow. I don't know if it can. It might not be possible on my iPhone 5, but if it is, I'll download it. And basically, you know, I think maybe for a Windows 10 user, it might be interesting. Promise of, you know, having synchronized of everything with Edge. I think it will be interesting. And yeah, on iOS you can have the preview if you want, David. If you've got an iPhone, check it out. You can have the preview. It's open to everyone. They opened it first to people that were insiders, but now it's open to everybody. Everybody can get Edge, the preview of Edge. So check it out. So you know, I think Vaults, is not even going to be a questioning. You know, first of all, nobody will know because nobody will. I don't think no one that is not a tech enthusiast like us really knows, first of all, that what is Microsoft Edge. So they're not even going to search for it. They're not even going to look at it. They're just going to say, I want to have, you know, I've got Chrome on this. I'm going to have Chrome. I mean, there won't even be a questioning. But yeah, David, you can get the beta version. So really crazy. So yeah, I don't think we're there yet. Another one. I think with everything that I see, we're getting there. They're working on it. but I think we're still a little far away. I don't know. Now Amazon is crazy. They're building everywhere. Even here, Montreal is in the list. They were saying, I read an article in the local newspaper here saying that the Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, has in his possession a list of 10 cities that he's decided it's one of those. And what they were saying, according to some people really close to Jeff Bezos, Montreal is in the top 10 list. So who knows, we might be getting a huge Amazon headquartered here. I'd like that. Be cool. Be really cool. Why not? A huge Amazon headquarter. They were saying that they already know where to actually put it. We had an hippodrome where, you know, with racetracks for horses, and that shut down many years ago. And it's a huge piece of land there. And they were saying that they're already kind of telling them, look, we've got an amazing piece of land for you right here. So apparently in the top 10 list. Pretty amazing. Can I survive one full day without technology? Yeah. It happens to me. It happens sometimes. I have to say, if I go out and I forget my phone, I feel kind of naked. Something's missing. You know, I for some reason I just have to bring this sucker with me all the time, everywhere I go. But it happens sometimes that mostly I forget it. You know, 9 out of 10 times I don't have technology, I forget it. But that said, I can easily, even when I have it with me, I'll easily, if I go out somewhere, go biking, whatever, easily I can really, without any problem, get a full day out of, you know, with no technology around me. You know, the main use of my phone when I'm out is, let's say yesterday I was at a karaoke bar, I sang some songs. We were, you know, many, I was there for many hours, and I used my phone only for one thing. I have the AdSense app, and when you do YouTube stuff and you have AdSense, I don't know, it's some kind of a it's a habit. You just have to, you know, I have to click that AdSense app from time to time just to see, you know, how many views I've got, what's the amount of money that, you know, how much I've made, stuff like that. But apart from that, I'd say that what I use most of my phone if I go somewhere, take pictures. Having my phone is great for that, taking pictures everywhere I go, which is really cool, basically. So I don't know. Oh, you can't get it now? Okay, kind of interesting. Mr. the Cat, come here. People want to see you. Come here. Get down. Yeah, here's Mr. Paul. Well, here's Mr. Paul's tail. So Mr. Paul the Cat's saying hello to everybody. And he's got to come over when he hears me talking. So anyways, it's very, very interesting. But I got to say, I am hooked to my phone. I got to say that I really like to have my phone around everywhere. Everybody's saying hi. Yeah, everybody's saying hi to you, man. So really cool. So yeah. What else do we have in our news? I think there's one thing. Oh yeah, Microsoft Surface. That bad news. That news that everybody was actually talking about. That Surface devices would be terminated in 2019. And you know what? It all started with one article, and I actually did see it. Because when I went over it, I had seen it's a tech analyst that just gave his own opinion of why he thinks that after Groove Music, Surface devices would go. And somehow, a lot of the news websites, the tech websites, reported this as, is Microsoft, you know, going to, you know, really stop making Surface devices? And one of the first things I thought was, I don't think it's a good idea. I think Microsoft does some amazing devices. I think Microsoft is really it has a lot of innovation in its Surface devices. They're a little expensive, but then again, you know, I think they wanted to for a higher end devices. So I think that, you know, some of these devices are just great. Surface laptop, I find it maybe a little underpowered for the price. The Surface Pro is cool. I look at the Surface Pro 4 that my nephew has. It's just amazingly cool. Great device. Very powerful. Very nice device. So really, what would have been sad that they you know, that said, the only thing that I would be negative about is they had at the start way too many problems, you know, with like endless firmware updates all the time because of battery issues and all sorts of issues with the devices. But you know, it seems stabilized. The Surface Studio, I find it really beautiful. Honestly, I find it a very nice device. I'll not buy one because, you know, if I would have, you know, $2,000 to put on a PC, I would not buy a device like that. I would buy a very powerful gaming laptop, something like that, but not necessarily a Surface device. Even though they are beautiful and very nice, it's not exactly what I would like to have, basically. So no, and we had confirmation also with Panos Panay, which is head of the Surface division, saying today, nope, don't believe it, we are committed to Surface. And he said that's really, you know, tabloid news, it's uninteresting and totally false. So that's pretty much what I have for the news items. We've got one email from our friend Tommy Viperboy that first of all says that he wants to thank me for the Fall Creators Update reviews video that I've been posting. And by the way, there are more to come. There's still a few more out there that I will be posting to talk about the new features of the Fall Creators Update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Decided to take a different approach. You know, when Windows 10 came out, I remember doing like 45-minute videos of every feature in one big video. Creators Update, I did like a 8 or 9 part series. And basically, now I've took the approach of much smaller videos, but more videos with focus on specific features that Fall Creators Update will bring. So thanks to Tommy for that, and saying that I'm doing a great job at explaining things. So thank you very much. So you're talking about an issue where you would like to have, well, you know, with your neighbor, I believe, with some kind of remote access, and you were wondering if the TeamViewer, which is this on Android, is anything good. So TeamViewer is a well-known thing, because you said that you wondered if that was good or not. And because you didn't want your neighbor to download um, the a bad piece of software or anything. Well, I can tell you, Tommy, that TeamViewer is a very well-known software. It's quite all right. It's actually I've used it for so many years to actually have control of clients' computers. What's nice with TeamViewer also is the fact that it's not like some other type of software where it's always on, so you can take control of the computer or the device as you wish. You have to give the reference number, so you got to give that number in order for that to work, so you get some control over the connections. So yeah, it's a great piece of software. You don't have to worry about it, and you will not be downloading any crap or problems using TeamViewer. It's one of the software that I use a lot. Tim, I can always add the numbers, but you know what? I started doing, well, part 1, part 2, and I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking, well, but then again, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'll add it to the titles. I'll edit the titles and put the part numbers. Maybe it's better like that. So what else do we have? So thanks. I saw something here. Thank you, Farney, for donation. I'll check it out right now. See if everything's come in. And thanks for your donation. So, anyways, that's pretty much. Yeah, I know, a full review, which would tend to make people believe that small part is a full review. So I'm gonna change it. So let me just check it out here. And yep, everything's all right in the donation aspect. Thank you very much. What else do we have? Yeah, well, with PayPal you don't have to use a credit card. With PayPal, Mohammed, you can just you can even link to a bank account directly. So I'll change the numbers. I'll change the numbers. Don't worry about it, Tim. It's quite all right. Alex Tuttle says, hey, let me ask this one. If Groove Music has stopped streaming Music Pass and they move to Spotify, can you stream Spotify music in Groove Music? No, they're gonna make you move to the new app. Actually, they've upgraded the Groove app. They updated the Groove app, and there's a link there that says, "Hey, move to Spotify." So no, I think you're gonna have the Spotify app, and that's where things are gonna happen. So that's why there's been talk about moving all of your purchases to Spotify from the Groove app and how to do it, basically. So that's interesting. So well, thank you, Mohammed. No problem with that, anyways. And so yeah, they're gonna move to Spotify. Do I live near a food store? I've got grocery stores I've got one that's like 2 corner streets. I'm surrounded by food stores of all kinds. So here it's like I just take a little walk and come back with groceries. I've got many groceries here for sure. No problem, Mohammed. And when you can, and if you can't, no worry about it. And thanks for everybody that donated, by the way. So anyways, anything else in the chat? Anybody wants to add a little something to our show today, so that we can maybe talk about something that you wanted to talk about? It's pretty much done an hour and a half, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Here's a beautiful day today, about 70 Fahrenheit, which is warm for this time of year. Gabriel, I haven't seen Gabriel in a couple of weeks, and I haven't seen him post much on Facebook too. So I'm gonna try to see him this week. Last week he wanted to. I was not available because he wanted to come over for one evening, and we'd listen to some Duran Duran music and just talk. And I was not available. But I'm gonna try to do it this week. It's kind of fun. So but he seems to be well. We want to go to because it's funny when I go to Microsoft, where he works is one corner street distance from where I am, and what I wanted to do. What we want to do, there's a Japanese restaurant called Biru, and it looks really cool, and it's in the same place over there. So one evening I was telling him one of the things I want to do is when I finish work and he finishes work, we'll head on to Biru and have some Japanese food and maybe some Japanese beer or something. Valts, if you run Xeons, do you need Windows 10 for workstations, or will the regular one work? You need Windows 10 for workstations, absolutely, for that to work. The regular Windows 10 will not work on that type of machine, from what I've seen. But you're right that it's not totally clear. Silver Dragon, nice to have you on board. What's your opinion on Android fragmentation and custom ROMs? What I wish in Android is that everything would be much more uniform, a little bit like iOS, so that everything. Yes, there are some missing. There's some missing things in the regular Windows version that prevents it from running. They did make it. There is a change. There's a difference. There is a difference. I remember reading an article on that. They did kind of cripple a little bit. Have I ever met Donna? No, I would like to. I would like to, for sure. And I know they're planning something. Donna Sarkar was mentioning at a live event that I've seen on Channel 9, which is the app of Microsoft. And by the way, if you guys want to, if you want, have Windows 10, go to the Windows Store and just search for Channel 9. It's an app with everything Microsoft, and there's a lot of videos there, a lot of stuff. That like educational videos and everything, but there are some videos of live events that they've done, and one of them was Donna Sarkar saying that in what they'd like to do in 2018 is kind of a insider tour where she'd go from city to city. And she was talking about coming to a couple of Canadian cities, and she mentioned Vancouver, but she mentioned Montreal, which did surprise me, because basically, it you know, they usually go to Toronto and they skip over Montreal. So if she does come with an insider tour, that would be fun. I definitely would go and meet her, and I would even try to set up at least some kind of little video I could do to kind of interview her, ask her if she, you know, like to being interviewed on my channel or something. I tried that. I don't know if it would work, but at least it would be cool. Yeah, well, what I mean, but what I was saying about Android, by the way, Volts, is not having a like iOS, you know, being in a box where you can't do anything, but more like because Android is like Windows, you know, it's you customize it with anything you want to do. It's just that it makes it so complicated for the updates and the upgrades to new versions, and even the security updates. I wish that side would be better, but I definitely do not want a boxed Android that you could not do like, you know, iOS. I don't want that. So Paul Cat from Farney the Cat. So cute little cat, you're really beautiful. So, but that would be fun, and I think that would be nice. One thing that I would like to do also, and I was, you know, maybe planning a trip to New York sometime. You know, Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are two tech journalists that I really love, and I kind of read everything and watch everything they do. And they often meet up in New York in a bar called Rattle and Hum. And I was thinking, you know, be cool one day that they actually go there. New York is like, you know, 6 hours away from Montreal by car. And it'd be kind of cool to go to New York and, you know, have a little say hi, and just meet up a little bit with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. That'd be kind of cool. And maybe at the occasion do a little video, just, you know, of course with my phone or something. Kind of would be cool. Bobby Burgess says, going back to Nintendo, Sega, and YouTube, and how is YouTube operating today? Is it going to where people will stop using YouTube and will try to go somewhere else? There's a lot of talk about that. You know, there's a friend of mine that that creates videos. And she decided to move to another platform. And, you know, some people sometimes tell me, you know, Dailymotion, or she's moved to Vimeo. But you know what? These platforms are more relaxed in their regulations than YouTube. YouTube is very strict. There's a lot of very strict regulations on YouTube. You got to really be careful not to digress or to break one of these rules, because you're really in a huge problem. What is the major issue about that is that YouTube is the only platform that still has so much to offer in viewership, and also in, you know, everything's free and it's like you just do things. But YouTube is getting more and more difficult. You know, just to give you guys an idea, all of my YouTube channels together generate a viewership of several millions a month. So I have, you know, easily several millions of views every month. Now, you've got to be careful, because between YouTube video views and YouTube monetization views, the numbers are extremely different. So say I get 5 million views, I might get only 2 million monetizable views. So the numbers are not the same for monetization and for views of YouTube. Now, that said, I've been YouTubing for 6 years now. And if I would have to start from scratch today, totally zero, I think it would be extremely difficult to be able to construct the same things that I've done and the same amount of views. It is much more difficult to be a YouTuber today. You know, look at Gabriel and his channel. Gabriel got a little, you know, he got discouraged because Gabriel posted videos, saw there was not a lot of views and it wasn't really increasing. And he kind of, you know, got out of it because he was like, well, you know, nobody's watching, who cares? And it's getting more and more difficult to get in there and have views. You know, I'm lucky to be where I am, but it's still it's still pretty much the best platform that exists. You know, even with all the problems, even with all the difficulty of you guys should see this. Paul the cat is actually sleeping on my phone, which is right now vibrating, and you should see his face. Is like, what the hell is that? So anyways, YouTube, even with all the the strict rules, is pretty much the only player that's really there, you know. And like I was saying all the time, is the only player that is capable of making YouTube a real competition would be if Facebook would decide tomorrow that we get monetization of video content. That would be probably the biggest competition of YouTube. So and you know, you just obey the rules and try not to digress. But it's complex because one of the biggest issues that you have when you YouTube is you use content. You know, for example, the images that I use for the news bulletin. Now, what is helping me out is at least YouTube has something called fair use. So because I use an image with a news content, it goes under fair use. So the owner of the image could not come back at me and say, oh, that's my image, you're not allowed to use it. Because I just fight it, and YouTube will say, well, he's using it in the context of news, so it's fair use. And you know, I'm a victim of that. I've had some people steal parts of my videos to explain their point of view, or to belittle me and try to say that I'm an idiot. And I can't do anything about it, because if I complained a few times just to see, all it does is YouTube comes back at me after a couple of weeks and says, well, sorry, that's fair use. Guy's using it in the video to explain something. You just can't do anything about it, which is kind of, you know, a little sad. But at the same time, it protects me for a lot of things, and there's a lot of things that I've shown that I do on YouTube that I can do because it goes under the Fair Use Act, basically. You know, so it's pretty crazy. Do you think that we'll get next builds for insiders, or do you think it will be 100% fixed before the public builds? Yeah, well, I think it's pretty much feature complete. I think we're going to have a cumulative update for Fall Creators Update, maybe roll out at the same time as the Fall Creators Update rolls out on October 17th. But you know, Fast Ring Insiders, we're getting a Redstone 4 build this week. We're moving ahead now. We're going to the future. So it's kind of interesting. So, you know. So, yeah, well, it's impossible to, you know, there's always going to be something that's wrong somewhere. in Windows for sure. Silver Dragon says he's happy the Fall Creators update runs fine. Runs fine on the Insider machine, at least. Can tell you that. Yeah, to bash or not to bash YouTube? Kind of hard question. Absolutely. You know, you gotta. There's rules. You know, YouTube. Some of the rules you can understand. YouTube is protecting itself against being sued by others, and because of that, it's creating a lot of regulations that you gotta really stay within. No, I still remember. And that's why I have on some channels, you know, similar content, because I remember maybe 3-4 years ago where Microsoft had flagged my channel for a video that I had online, that I was showing something and they didn't like it, and it immediately flagged my channels that I couldn't do live shows for 3 months. So you know, you gotta be prepared for that. If for whatever reason a flag on the channel prevents me from doing a live show for 3 months, I gotta be somewhere else that I can do it. But you know, at the same time that it's getting a little more difficult, I seem to see that it's also kind of easier. There's less going crazy about things. And one of the things that is actually really nice is that more and more, instead of just flagging your channel and saying, oh well, you did something bad, more and more now it's okay, well, you got content from that guy, or you got content from that company, monetization of that video will go to that company, and that's it. So at least there's that, you know. So yes, there will be a Windows 10 for workstations that will have Fall Creators update. Absolutely. Absolutely. David Walker says works great here. Not my only issue. I had fixed iTunes Store bug. So your only issue is that. So pretty cool. Yeah, but the problem with that is the driver, you know, and that's the issue. And that's why, once again, I always say that Windows updates for drivers should be in a separate optional field, like on Windows 7. That would be the best thing. I don't know why they're so stubborn in wanting to push these updates for drivers. It's just crazy. You know, I've not had issues with that in a while, but I remember having an issue at some point with my Wi-Fi driver. And every time it would update, it would break my Wi-Fi connection. I could not connect to the router, and I had to roll back all the time until they fixed the damn driver. So that's why driver updates should not be forced. They should be in an optional field, and if you want to do it, you do it. That I totally agree. I think driver update should be optional. I don't think that they should be forced on you. So it's really, really crazy. Really crazy. So, hey everybody, we're gonna shut down the show. I'm gonna go and do a little something to eat. I've got some ground beef. I was thinking of maybe doing some kind of Mexican tacos or something. Yeah, that is possible, Vault. As Vault says, maybe they're changing the internals of the operating system at a higher rate than before, so they need drivers to play along. Same issue as the Kaspersky antivirus, by the way. And it's possible. It's possible. It's possible. You know, with what we see with all the cumulative updates recently is, I have the impression that Windows 10 is being modified and changed much more than previous operating systems. You know, we didn't see that level of change within Windows 7. Windows 7 had its monthly security fixes, but the core changes to Windows 7 weren't happening very often, and they'd show up in something called as a service pack. In Windows 10, it's like you're not getting service packs, but you're getting tons of little updates all the time. So it's like we're getting the updates as they are produced instead of waiting for 6 months for an update to appear. But that could be. So kind of interesting. So anything else? I'm just gonna check Donna Stockard. Has Donna said something today, as apart from this afternoon? So of course, anybody in the insider previews, if you want to stay put, so of course, 1 hour ago was release preview rings getting 16.299.15, which puts the version everywhere. And of course, she did say today, if you're on the released SDKs for developers and everyone, please check your settings. It's time to unleash the RS4ness. So that means that gotta check. Just telling you to check your settings to make sure that you get the new builds soon and fastering. So they're working hard on. So they're telling us to just look at our settings, make sure that we are in the insider previews, the fastering and everything to check out to make sure that if we want to continue. And of course, you can stop insider builds if you wish to stop them. Absolutely, I'm staying in the fast ring. Absolutely. I'm saying, oh, by the way, I'm thinking about it, Tim. Darn, I've downloaded Linux Mint 18.2 and tried to install it on 3 PCs. Impossible. On 3 PCs, it fails. It just crashes on the install. So now I got 2 Linux machines. I've got Ubuntu on one machine, and my 17-inch computer. I've gone back to the Ferren OS, the one that is customizable. But Mint on 3 machine fails, which is surprising. So I don't know. I'll maybe choose Ubuntu. Maybe I'll choose Ubuntu to make videos and go in depth into an operating system. So anyways, we'll be checking that out because I really want to increase the output of videos for that Linux channel for sure. So take care, everybody. It was nice to have you on board, and we're going to go and cook some food and watch some tech stuff on the channel. And of course, we'll be posting the Windows Update log video talking about what are the security fixes today. And of course, stay on the channel to get updates on the new insider previews we'll get. I'll try to finish my full review of Windows 10 Fall Creators Update maybe tonight. So some videos coming later today for sure. And see you all Thursday for the Windows Insider Hour. Hope you enjoyed the show today. We've almost 2 hours, not too bad. Take care, everybody. It was nice to have you on board, and stay safe. Love you all, and thanks for those that donated for the show. Bye bye, my friends.